it's me, Debbie Hilly, and I wanted to show you this wonderful tool that was so graciously given to me to try. This is a groomer's wall, and what it does is it cuts your table size down to whatever size you need, and mine is roughly half of what my table is. Now I already have a 22-inch table, so when I cut it down, I'm about 12 inches maybe. It literally divides your table wherever you clamp it. You can see the clamp there and the other side of the table. The clamps are super easy to use. I mean, they're ratchet clamps. So they're ratchet clamps, not something you have to spring hold, it's a ratchet. So they're really easy for even our old hands to be able to use. And you can move it wherever you need or take it off. Super easy, it's amazing. I have severe shoulder issues from reaching and grabbing, and most of my dogs like to get on that side of the table as far away as they can get. So I've had my table on the wall, which is okay, but it didn't stop Gwen, my son's dog, is on the floor and she just ran into the tripod. It doesn't stop the dogs from getting as far away from you as they can. This wall does that. This dog has room to turn. As you can see, I can turn him around with no problem. I can put his face towards me, I can put his butt towards me, I can put his sides towards me, but he's never further than where I need him to be, never further than my arms can get this way. So I'm not putting stress on my the muscles behind the shoulder blades, where I end up with huge knots a lot of times from the pulling and the tugging and the twisting and the turning. It's amazing. Some of the dogs we have are leaners and they want to lean against the wall. Well, this puts them where you want them. If you've got a senile dog, they like areas that are tighter, where they feel more comfortable. This wall helps tremendously with that. Tommy Stockstill was wonderful enough to send it to me, and I absolutely love it. I can't imagine going back to working without it. So it's staying. Have two actually, one for the bathing room, one for in here, and my son's neck and shoulders are not bothering him anywhere near as much as they were. Let me show you a little bit about how this is, about how it works. And I also want to talk a little bit about this. This is also something that Tommy makes. So turn around. And you can see he's a nervous little dog. He's a very nervous little dog. And you'll notice he's not able to just maneuver around me. And he's standing fairly still. He's one of those table walkers that will walk and walk and walk on your table. And he can't do that with this wall there. Well, he can, but not effectively. It's a little less possible for him to do that. I wet shaved this dog before what you're seeing, so I had to. But what I have discovered with this table, because I do groom a lot sitting down, it works when you're standing up as well. But what I have discovered with it is that it actually encourages me to put the dog in sections and groom them in sections. Almost in quarters. She found another hole. At least I can get her out of here. My son's dog is about 16 years old, and she, no lie, she finds a hole to get into. She found a hole in the bathing room a few minutes ago, and we had to move the whole tub to get her out. So she's over here in a hole between my table and the wall. She's happy there. At any rate, this encourages me to get I had him facing me backwards, because it's a little harder to move a dog around on here, especially if they're a little bigger than him. Then I try to get all of my work done on the part that's facing me before I turn them around. So see, what I'm going to do here is finish his back feet like this. He's already had his nails done. And I make sure that this part of the dog that's facing me is done first. It's just much more simple. But you'll notice, like I said, he's a table walker, and he's not trying to moved at this point. I don't know exactly what the psychology is behind it, but they feel comfortable. They don't move around a lot. So, all right. I have to turn around and grab my tools because I don't have room to put them on my table anymore. That's a plus, right? I don't have all the stuff on my table that I would have normally, so. I also lost my remote control for my television. Hang on a minute. There we go. That's a little better. I wanted it turned off and not just paused. I do have a TV in here. I was watching something before I decided the video. It's off now. But I do try to get each quarter of the dog done. And in this case, both rear legs are done. The feet are done. The belly and the butt are done. And he's done from here back when I turn him. His whole body will be done by the time I turn him. And yes, I'm using wide blades. He's a little dog, but why would you not use the wide blade? It's going to cut 1.5 times the width of a normal blade. So then we turn him around. And if you noticed, the loop is actually behind his shoulders. This is called a trach saver because it keeps the loop completely off their necks. What I have loved about it is that I do not have to worry about a dog choking or worrying about if they have a collapsing trachea and I don't know it. Most of the dogs are super comfortable with it as opposed to a regular loop. And it also tends to, again, put the dogs in quarters. I take it off like this. Do my shoulder and my leg. But again, it's encouraging me to finish this before I put it back on, because otherwise you gotta take it off again, put it back on, take it off, put it back on. And I'm all about trying to be easy about stuff. But the trach saver is very thin, and he's got, this is a prototype, so the coating that's on it is not what's on the one that he's coming out with very shortly. He's got them coming in, I think he said within the next month. But it literally, it just slides around his leg, just like that. And you can see it goes behind the leg and it keeps them up, and you can pull it up. I also use them on the rear as opposed to this, which this works on some dogs, but when you have a dog that wants to squat or really lay down, this is awesome for keeping them standing. And I do have two. He has two sizes, and I have both. This is the medium. I really prefer to use the small almost everybody, but I had a Boykin on my table yesterday, and this one ended up on my table this morning, and I'm just still using it. But I find the dogs don't fight it. They're not hanging their heads trying to push against what's on their necks. They're not fighting you at all. They just stand there. So with the trach saver and the Groomers wall, I've got much more control over my dogs and get a lot more done faster. They're just amazing tools. I have been given both. I have bought one. I did buy one of these. So even though he gave me one, I bought one. So I have two, like I said. And in the bathing room, we use table covers. We use flannel table covers. And we have discovered that they fit. You put it on the front and wrap it around the bottom, and then wrap it around and secure it again. And so the table covers cover this and keep it from bouncing water back on when you're drying a dog, because we were worried about that. We've always had a quilt or something behind our table, and with this on there, that wasn't going to be possible, but it is possible with the table cover, so we're incredibly thrilled to know that. I do have table covers in stock for anybody who wants some. Limited fabrics though, and Milena Khan has them in stock. So They're available if you want to try one. But back to this table wall, the Groomers wall. Like I said to you, it keeps me from leaving a million things on my table. I have a tendency to have every clipper I own and 4 or 5 combs and several cell phones and cordless phones and you name it, it ends up on my table. But you come here and stop. The furthest they can do is what he's doing right now, which is sliding that way. And that's easy enough to fix. I don't have the trach saver on him. I'll put this back on him. Gives me a little more control and he can only go so far. And there we tighten it down and it's good. Now he can't go that way. He has to stay where I put him. Now I work with 2 arms, one here and one here, so I can adjust where I want them on the table. If he was wandering too far that way, I would move this over to this loop and it would control him better. I know you can't see them, but this arm has got 4 eye bolts at the top and this one has 1. So I'm able to work that way. But you'll notice I still have stuff on my table. It just can't go, it's not going to go as far if it does fall. So we'll get some of it off the table. I have to be real careful because I have to clean everything in between every dog. Otherwise I go a little nuts. And yes, I'm using like 4 clippers on him right now. I am. 4. I've got a bravura. I had my Volt. I had a Kodos, which is one that comes from China, and then I had my mini bravura. This dog comes all the time, but for some reason he was matted on his back legs this time around. So when Brian bathed him, I just said bring him here and I'll go ahead and shave him down. Probably allergy related. Everybody in town is allergy prone right now, myself included. This morning I was like, where are my eye drops? It was bad this morning. We need some rain to knock some of this pollen down. Doesn't look like we're going to get much anytime soon. But anyway, as you can see, he's not trying to back away, because even if he did, his butt would hit the wall and he can't go anywhere. When I was first grooming, my father made my grooming tables. And one of my favorite ones he ever made me was made specifically to my height, because I stood to groom at the time. And it was 18 inches wide, 24 inches long. And let me tell you, I could groom anything on that table. I groomed Cocker Spaniels on that table. I even groomed Chows on that table. Some small Springers would fit on that table. As long as their feet fit, on it, I could groom them on it. And it was no problem. And because it was so narrow, they didn't try to get away from me. We called it a toy table, meant for little dogs, but I'm telling you, I groomed everything in the world on that table at vet clinics. You never knew what you were going to have at a vet clinic, and I ended up with all kinds of dogs, and pretty much if it came in the door and it was smaller than a Chow, it went on that table. I had another table as well, but that was my preferred table. I loved it, loved it, loved it. When we moved out of my second location, because this is my 4th building in 20 years, all within a mile of each other, but still. When we moved into the smallest building I've ever been in, which was 500 square feet, 400 square feet, we didn't have anywhere to store it, so I gave the table away. And I wished every day after I did that I had kept it. I really did, but I had a nice electric table, and I had a hydraulic table, and I didn't need that table. Yeah, I did, but it was too late, it was gone. This reminds me of having that table. But the nice thing about it is I can move it. If I have, let's say, a golden doodle that is 80 pounds and will fit on here, then it's good. And in fact, I did one the other day with this in exactly this position with an 80-pound golden doodle, because Bailey gets up on the table and Bailey doesn't move, and Bailey, you have to turn where you want him. It worked out fantastically. I hate doing ears. It really worked out well because he didn't fight me and he could stand there and there was still room for him. But if for some reason it's not working, you can easily, it takes less than 10 seconds to pop the thing off. I'll show you that in just a minute. Let me get his ears done. I'm having a problem lately getting my ears to match up. And his head's crooked, which doesn't help either. And he's black, which doesn't help. Black dogs and white dogs, seeing them is a trick. Now the groomer's wall, because it's a white object, makes it easier to see a black dog if you can get him in the right position. He also needs to hold his head straight. He's holding his head to the left, which makes it really hard to tell if the ears are the same length. And I may have to tell when I get him in the kennel. But anyway, there we go. And your mama wanted your tail left alone, so let's brush it out and you're done. But I want to show you how easy it is to take this thing off of my table. It's phenomenal. I'm just in love with a tool, with a piece of equipment, and I would call it a tool because it allows me to do my job better. All right, buddy, let's get this off of you. This is super easy to undo. Just plop, there it is. Let me put him up. Watch out, Gwen. Watch out, baby. All right, there you go. And I'll slide this over so you can see. Watch out, Guinevere. There you go, baby. These clamps, literally, there's a button on the bottom, and off they come. There's a button under here. You push the button, they come right off. And then if you want to store this, I can't remember how this works. Oh, you have to push it further. Pushing those is a little harder. But there you go. That's it. That's how easy this is. And then putting it back on, you quite literally and I have this on the side here because of the fact that we have a walk-through area right here that we walk through. And then you push it down to lock it in place. But there you are. And you can see it's not coming off. It's not going to come off. It's not going to slide anywhere. And I cut my mat to fit under there. So that's how easy that is. And if you wanted to move it further this way, you could. Back some more, you can. You can put it wherever you need to. And like I showed you just then, if you need to take it off, super easy. Now, as far as cleaning it goes, it's no different than cleaning your table. I spray it down with my cleaner and my disinfectant, or wipe it down with a Clorox wipe, and I'm good to go. Groomers wall. I'll put a link to it. This will save your back. This could help save your career. Oh, and the reason why mine is leaning back is my mat's underneath it. It pushes it a little bit, but that's okay. It works still. The hinges that are on it are super tight and they're not going anywhere. And trach saver. This is amazing. This is amazing. Tommy Stockstill and his wife have done a great job of designing these things. She's a groomer. And I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. I've been communicating with Tommy via text message and messenger, so anyway, there you have it. I'll see y'all in a little bit with another dog on here to show you how it works if it's a little closer. Gwen, you're in the way.